Leaked texts between actor Jonah Hill and his ex-girlfriend have sparked a conversation about boundaries versus rules. Some say the actor is really stretching the meaning of the term by demanding his ex, who is a professional surfer, not surf with men, model, or have friendships with women who are in an unstable place. So let's get back to basics here. What actually is a boundary in relationships? How can you set them in healthy ways?
Dr. Viviana, intimacy expert, is back to have this conversation. Welcome. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
I tell you what, this does bring up a question of what is up with these boundaries. How important is it to have those in a relationship?
I think it's always important if you know that something is either going to be a trigger, is a huge source of insecurity that you're working on. That's the part that I think is missing here. It doesn't seem like there's much work happening there. Or if you know that there's something that is a huge turnoff that really offends you, those are things that you really should share with your partner, especially if you're invested in a long-term commitment with them.
When I hear about somebody setting boundaries for another partner, I automatically think, well, there's mistrust or distrust in this relationship, or there's insecurity. Is that not always the case, though?
So I think in this case, he's using the term boundary, but what he's trying to say is, I need to control these aspects because I just don't like them. These are preferences. These are things that make me kind of, but it doesn't sound like he's willing to talk about it. He just wants it to be gone. And that's where the controlling aspect comes in. Now, the weaponized therapy, you know, as a therapist, I hear these things all the time. And yes, some of my clients will use my words, not always, you know, accurately, to get their point across and to really show evidence for their side. It's always important to ask the source, you know, whether or not they actually said that and what they meant.
Okay, so what is a healthy way to set boundaries?
Well, you don't want to be too verbose. If you're, you know, it's kind of like having a little note card in front of you. 1 to 2 sentences max, saying what it is that you're trying to get across. The other piece of it would absolutely be to share why it's important to you. It's not enough to say, I don't like this or I need this. Then share why it's important and why you think it's going to be helpful for the relationship, because then you're getting your partner on board.
Right, it's that simple communication that can make a big difference. Okay, you also say share that you'll let them know if they've crossed the boundary.
Well, and that is opening things up to saying, you don't have to be perfect, but just know I will share it. And so you're warning them that they're going to get some feedback. And that's okay. It's not a surprise. It's not an attack. It's not like, you know, you're not going to give them a second chance.
Now, if they're really following those boundaries and everything's going smoothly, is it important to bring that up and tell them you appreciate that those everything's going well?
Yeah, words of praise. It's so important, especially in a long-term relationship. If somebody's doing something well, don't assume that they know that. Go ahead and let them know that it's working for you and that you're feeling more secure than ever.
And boundaries can be different in every relationship. It's important to point out, right? Like, I mean, some marriages, husband can go to lunch with women in the office, no big deal. And others, that might be a boundary.
Absolutely.
Okay.
But you do want to make sure that there's a difference between a boundary and a preference, and think about it before you share it.
All right, good information. Dr. Viviana, thanks for being here this morning. Have a beautiful day.